Well, good morning. Happy Friday or Friday. Can you believe I just said that? It is only Tuesday. I am so sorry to disappoint you. It really is only Tuesday, but happy Tuesday, nonetheless, October 22nd. Very special guest that's going to join us here in just a moment. We're going to be talking about mental health medication. Okay. And we've talked about it a lot on Med Circle. I take 40 milligrams of Prozac and 2 milligrams of Abilify. And I was put on Prozac when I was 9 years old. And a lot of people hear that and go, oh my gosh, what were your parents thinking? Shouldn't have done that. Yada, yada, yada. So we've moved into this place where medication has kind of become a hot topic in the mental health space. My guest today is Shallon Lester. She's an author and YouTuber known for taking some of the trending gossip celebrity topics. I just watched her video on Chaperone, actually. And she's controversial opinion on Chaperone. Maybe I'll ask her when she gets here. Anyway, we're going to talk to her about her experience and her mental health journey. And who knows where that conversation will lead us. Without further ado, Shallon, welcome to Med Circle.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's so good to see you. Let's jump into the big topic I have. Are you a Chaperone fan or are you not a fan of Chaperone?
Incredibly talented musician.
Oh, God.
Well, when you start by saying that, it's like saying they have a good heart. You're about to describe someone with some garbage behavior. That is how I view Chaperone. I think she's a very talented musician who is very much in her victim narrative. And she seems to want to victimize herself and be victimized by the world. And we are living in the golden age of a victim narrative. So she was born at exactly the right time. I think it's crazy that most people can't see through that. Basically, her fans can, and they are also in their victim narrative. And I just find her very talented, but extremely cringe and irritating and obvious.
Very good. Okay. Well, there we have it. The hot take on Chaperone. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about you instead. Okay. What is you mostly focus on what I call the current events of celebrity. Why now are you coming on a platform like Med Circle? Obviously, we invited you to come on the platform, but why do you decide to come on and talk about your mental health and talk about mental health in this way?
What I do is I take celebrities and I use them as the tortoise and the hare. You know, they're basically a fable. What can we learn from these people, their dynamics, their relationships? And so much of that does circle back to mental health, the victim narratives versus a champion narrative. Being self-aware enough to say, do I want to keep dating these garbage people? Do I want to have better friends in my life? Am I going to make myself and my circumstance better? I think of myself kind of as a queen maker. I take women and I turn them into alpha women. I turn them into happy women. I turn them into sexy women. And if that doesn't start in your mind and your mental health, I mean, it's all part and parcel of that. You cannot become a real bad bitch if you have a mental health situation that you're dealing with. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Have you had a mental health situation that you've dealt with?
Of course.
Yeah. I'm an alive human being. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm an alive human being. And people who lead with, I have anxiety. Oh, so you're sentient. You're a human in the world. You're not special. You're special for a lot of other reasons, maybe. It kind of sounds like you're not. But you're not special because you've had depression, anxiety. I was a cutter for a long time. So embarrassing. Literally cringy. But like, yes, we've all gone through it. But that's the thing. You're supposed to go through it. You're not supposed to stay there and make it your whole personality and make it the cards you play when you don't want to do something and you don't want to be better and you don't want to pull up for yourself or anyone around you.
Yeah.
So of course, I've been on medication. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah. It's when you say I don't want to pull up for somebody or other people and ourselves, it's so true. I still see a lot of those people showing up for other people, but they don't show up for themselves. And that always perplexes me. I go, especially if you're a parent, right? You're showing up for your kids every day. But then show up for you, show up for you. Yeah.
I think it's two ends of the same spectrum. You have the people who are like, my anxiety, I can't be a friend to you. I can't ask about your day. I can't be a partner. And then you have the martyrs. They can't show up for themselves. Like we're seeking the middle path where we have boundaries and we are showing, yes, we're giving to our friends, but we're also taking care of ourselves. Extremes are easy. We see that in every realm of life. It's so easy to be totally sober or a total drunk nightmare. It's hard to constantly negotiate. Well, do I want to have a drink today and how many? It takes a lot of mental bandwidth and people don't want to do it.
Yeah. I don't really want to do it.
Nobody wants to do it. No, and I think people on the extreme ends, they look at people in the middle and it's like, I don't want to do this either, dude. Like I also want to be a total victim or a total martyr.
Yeah. What is your stance on medication for mental health treatment? You said you've been on it.
I think it's a fire extinguisher. When I was on antidepressants, I was cutting and I was in a tailspin that I could not of my own volition pull out of. And that's how my doctor described it. She's like, this is going to get you to a baseline where you're going to have to incorporate therapy, exercise, mindset work, all of this stuff, but it's going to put out the fire. And then you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to rebuild this house that you burnt down. And that's exactly what it was. And I think for some people, they are fine living amongst the rubble, but there is something they can build beyond that. But it does take a lot. I mean, we hear this with Ozempic. I lost weight on Ozempic, but I did so much mental and emotional work and just so that it's like, that was a fire extinguisher to quell the issues so that I could look at my life more neutrally. And like, how did I get here? How can I get out of this? How can I never be in this place again?
A lot of the notes that you're bringing up remind me of resilience. I asked one of our doctors, I go, what's the number one thing we should be teaching our kids? And she said empathy. But then she very quickly said, number 2 is resilience. She goes, we do not teach our, especially young kids. And she really said, especially college age kids, any resilience. There's just a lack thereof. Why do you think, if that is true, why do you think it is true?
I blame parents. I think parenting is hard and parents don't take that into account when they become parents, that like this, you're going to have to do what's best for this child, not what's easiest for you. You're not raising kids, you're actually raising adults. And if you are cleaning up after them or parking them in front of an iPad or medicating them because it's too much work for you to manage them, I don't have kids, girl, I get it. I don't want to do that work, but you did elect to do this work and you actually have to do it because otherwise, you're going to have this generation of basement dwelling Twitch streamers, which we have, and who are stuffed to the gills with medication and they're miserable. It's like, okay, well, you didn't allow them to pick themselves back up. You didn't give them the tools. But at some point, adults have to stop blaming their parents and they do have to take the reins. This is the horror of being an adult. It's like, you can't blame your parents forever for things. You have to actually grow up. It sucks. It's the worst. It's the worst.
It was, one time I was talking to a doctor and they were saying, we were having this conversation about really just parents who are raising you, right? Whether you did it intentionally or not, you raised an entitled, spoiled, manipulative human being. And a lot of these parents start raising this human being, from the beginning. And then when the human being is 16, they go, oh my gosh, what have I done? And the doctor actually said something profound to me. They go, yeah. And you have to take responsibility of that, what your role in that. And then you can't just change one day and expect your 16-year-old to change with you. You might have to sit down and apologize for raising them how you did. And then tell them, hey, I'm going to change it now. And you have to get on board.
You have to say there's a new sheriff in town. And that is life. You get a new boss who buys the company and they're like, we're doing things totally different now. Your partner comes home like, I'm going to get sober and I'm going to get healthy. Like life can incorporate sweeping changes. Once upon a time, there were wars. There was famine, there was plague. Like people dealt with large scale changes and they did deal with it. So if your child can't handle like, hey, you're going to have a curfew from now on and you have to do laundry. Well, good luck out there.
Yeah. Right. You talk about shifting from this victim mindset into what I would call an empowered mindset. Would that be the term you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you move from victimhood to empowerment?
I think a huge part of it is gratitude, and gratitude is rooted in shame. A little bit of shame. Just
Explain that to me.
like I volunteer at the food bank in our area, and they have a local, like a little restaurant that they run, and I serve food to the homeless like 2 or 3 times a week. And for the first 20 shifts, I just wept. Sometimes during the shift, it was very awkward, but like afterwards, because I was so ashamed of myself. I was so ashamed that I would come home and be like, this boy and the text and my skin and my hair. It's like, girl, some people have real problems. But then I started to use that shame to fuel gratitude and therefore to fuel action in my life. You don't want to stay in the shame. It just needs to be a little spark that lights that chain of gratitude to be like, you know what, some people have it worse. And whatever I'm dealing with, this problem that I have is a blessing for someone else. They would kill for this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we all go through that. The problems I have are a nightmare to somebody else. This is just the human circle of life. And you have to start giving back to others, because what a victim narrative is, what anxiety is, it's self-absorption. Anxiety. What are they going to say about me? They're going to look at me. Shut the fuck up. Like, go help someone else. Stop thinking about yourself all the time. Yes, of course, take care of yourself. But when you realize the world is bigger than you and your emotions, problems are larger, that should give you some peace. And the people who don't find that peaceful, it's because they're getting a huge emotional payout from the victim narrative. They're able to get out of social obligations, family obligations. The bar just gets lower and lower. And I think when you realize it's okay, if you set the bar high, you actually can achieve these things you want in your life, but not with that mindset. It takes a lot of bravery.
So how do if I'm in that mindset for whatever reason, maybe I've been in this victim mindset for 2 decades, okay? It's just my default, right? And maybe I've been in relationships that have encouraged it. Maybe I was raised that way. Who knows? Whatever. If I'm trying to get out of that victim mindset, I can volunteer, but how do I act? Huh?
That's one. I've got
That's one.
other.
Oh, wait, I got more, please. Okay, so we're volunteering, but even for some people, Shawn, that would be too much of a big step to go, oh, I'm going to go to the food bank 2 or 3 times a week. They might need a pre-step before that.
Why? Why do they need a pre-step to do something nice for someone else? Like, think about that. Think about that infantilization of a grown adult saying, I need to be lured into this state where I can help someone else. Grow the fuck up. I'm sorry, grow up. You don't have to like be on the board of a charity. You don't have to go to a food bank. You can buy someone's coffee at Starbucks. You can have a conversation with your elderly neighbor who no one talks to. You can have a conversation with the elderly woman in your house who might be your mother or your grandmother. You can do the laundry for someone you know. Again, maybe your own mother. There are so many ways. And if you're telling yourself, oh, well, I just need all of these, like this pregame to do something nice for someone.
So you're saying just do anything. Find that act of altruism that is available to you.
Clean the house, walk the dog. Yeah. Like buy someone's groceries, call your friend and be like, hey, how are you? I know you've been going through something. Yeah. That means so much. Do something physical, get your body moving, set any sort of goal for yourself. When I was super depressed, the goal I set for myself was I'm making my bed every day. Rain or shine, hungover or not, I make my bed. I am the girl who makes her bed. And it was a small little grain of sand to build on, but I did it. And then when some other challenge came along, I was like, well, I bet I could do that. I mean, I make my bed every day. Yeah. And then you just have it stack, and it grows up and up and up, but you have to start somewhere. You don't have to start perfect. Hit the target, not the bullseye. Just start.
Yeah. Amen to that. I say that all the time. And maybe you'll disagree with this, but I always say too, I go, well, I mean, you wouldn't disagree with that. You're talking about making your bed. I go, just do something. If you go to the gym and you just walk on the treadmill for a little bit and leave, I go, at least you went to the gym, Exactly.
At least you went to the gym. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think people maybe they have these expectations for themselves. Like, well, if I start, it has to be perfect. I know very intelligent people can be like that. I'm not going to try. If it's not perfect, I'm going to talk myself out of it.
Totally.
The successful people out there, they don't care at all if something is perfect. It is hit the target, not the bullseye.
Yeah.
And maybe just get kind of close to the target, because at least I'm firing and most people aren't. So whatever.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Y'all, I started going to the gym 20 minutes twice a week. That was what I did. I was like, if I go for 40 minutes, that's 40 minutes that I'm not going now, you know? And then that 40 minutes turned into 3 or 4 days for an hour, you know? So it gets there, but those small things. Okay. Are you in therapy? Have you ever been in therapy?
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of therapy. I actually quit therapy about a year ago. I work with a mindset coach. Her name's Laura St. John. She has done more for me. She did more for me with one session than 2 years of therapy did. I'm not even kidding.
What happened in that session?
Oh, I think therapy is, I mean, you talk and you stay in it and you talk, and they don't tell you what to do. And I would beg my therapist, tell me what to do. And he's like, well, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they are incentivizing you to come back and explore and go deeper. She is very much like, okay, you write this mantra down, you hold on to this. This is what you visualize. When you feel like this, you go for a drive, you eat gummy worms, you look at a fern, because those are the 3 things that make you just light up this little spark of happiness for you. And you shift into that. She's very, very action oriented. And I think for so many of us who are dealing with mental things or anxiety, all of these issues, they're just energy. I believe they're energy. And we're like a dog that doesn't have a toy, so it's chewing the furniture. Mm-hmm. Like, we need an outlet for that energy. And if we can put it towards something positive and be like, okay, this is the plan. This is how we move. These are steps. I mean, I now have a toolbox that can shift me out of a spiral that would have had me down for a week. And I can shift out of it within 10 minutes. It's amazing.
What's looking at a fern? What is that?
So her theory is like, you have a list of just happy, silly things. Like, I like tiny ice in my latte. I like gummy worms. I like ferns. I like my dog's nose.
You're saying fern, like the plant?
Like the plant. Yeah.
You love ferns.
Yeah, they're cool. They remind me of being a kid in the 80s. Their ferns were everywhere. And so they just take me back to like this silly, goofy place.
How fantastic for you. Every time I see a fern now, I'll be like, oh, Shawn would have loved this.
I know. You're just going to text me a bunch of ferns, like, enough. Kyle, enough.
Okay. So
we all have something like that. A bunch of things.
I love the attitude of gratitude, the list of things that can get you out of the funk, avoiding the spiral. I understand that. Do you ever just let yourself feel depressed and angry? And yeah, you do.
Oh yeah, you have to wallow, because otherwise I think you gaslight yourself, and then this where you're like, I'm fine, this is fine. Again, it's that extreme. It's the toxic positivity. Yeah, I love this. I want to break up every day. Like, you need to be able to feel it. But I will literally set an alarm on my phone. It's like, it's cry o'clock. Go into bed and just be like, and just be depressed and just play the Taylor Swift and wail it out. And then the alarm goes off and you just zombie walk out of there and you're like, okay, I'm going back to life.
I got to do it. Yeah.
I got it. And your mind and your body want to be happy. They do. And so if you can give your mind that fern and that alarm that goes off, it's like, okay, yeah, let's get back to being happy. We're a creature that's meant to survive. We don't survive if we're miserable.
Yeah. I love this fern thing. I know you're already an author, but that could be a whole chapter in a book, like finding your fern. You know what I mean?
Finding your fern.
Yeah, find your fern. I love that one time I learned about worry time. And if someone's going through something terrible, like a real big, like your spouse died or something, but you still got to go to work. Okay. Your job's still like, get in here and do your job. And we had so many people going, I can't, like, it's so hard for me to work because I'm worried about what just happened. And the doctor was like, I get it. I hear you. You have to work, go home, do exactly what you did, Shawn. And I'm going to go out on my patio. I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. And all I'm going to do is just be like, this is the worst. What's going to happen? Da, da, da. And then after 30 minutes, I go make dinner. I put the kids to bed. I live my life. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I actually think it works better. You know, if you've been like eating bad, just like here and there, and then you gain weight and you're like,
I'm familiar.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't know what that is.
No. Weird. Cutting this off. and you're like, I didn't even enjoy it. It's not like I had this huge, amazing meal and I'm 2 pounds heavier. Fine. You're just like, I frittered this away. It's the same like sadness. Like really enjoy it. Really like commit to that wallow and just get in there. Just wallow. Yeah.
Exactly. It feels good to try something.
It does. Massage.
What is a mindset coach, period, or question mark? Is that a life coach?
She's not a life coach. I think a life coach, I don't know what a life coach does. I assume they're just unemployed finance girls who couldn't make it in PR. Or a run-of-the-mill girl from Long Island whose parents are disappointed in her.
Okay.
But we'll trust fund. Laura it's not something that's, certified. She's the aunt of Livy Dunn, the gymnast, like the LSU gymnast, she's the highest paid female athlete in the world. And she helped Livy with her mindset. I mean, getting her head in the game with gymnastics and then becoming an influencer and getting these huge brand deals and things nobody was doing at the time. And Laura was really instrumental in sort of shaping the mindset of a champion. And so she's focusing heavily on manifestation because your thoughts are going all the time. What are we using them for? Are they negative or are they positive? We might as well give an appropriate amount of attention to our dreams versus an inappropriate amount, a huge amount to all of our problems.
Yeah. They say that, I forget the stat, but 90% of the things we worry about never come true. And here we are talking about, thinking about, worrying about, all the things that probably will never happen. Right. The coaching thing is very interesting to me. Obviously, for a living, I talk to psychologists and psychiatrists, and I've talked to sports psychologists who, all they do is work on mindset. They might as well be a mindset coach because that is what they're doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the life coach space, the mindset coach space, all these, what I'll call an alternative to therapy or an akin to therapy, they're very interesting to me because I think a lot of people can get into this empowerment that we're advocating for easier than going to the therapist. Whether there's a stigma to the therapist, it's hard to get in to see a therapist. And look, the therapist will tell you first, there are a lot of bad therapists. So, it might be easier to find a good mindset coach. Where did you find yours? Not all of us know Olympians and their families.
I agree with you about therapy. And I think therapists should be like, oh, like there's some new kids on the block. I feel like I fall under sort of the umbrella of coaching and mindset and empowerment, but it's like, I'm not a doctor. And that's the thing, I'm not a doctor. I'm in the trenches with you. And I think that's what makes coaches very appealing. Like a therapist, they're just sitting there in their tweed and you're like, you don't like get this. A mindset coach. So my friend, one of my best friends, she's a very high level venture capitalist for Google. And she's a woman, she's an Asian woman. So she's not the norm. And when she is focusing on manifesting something, it's like the 1% of the 1% in terms of achievement. She's like, I want another jet. And so but she's her own worst enemy. She's got a lot of that mental energy that so many of us intelligent people have, and it can be used for good or it can be used for self-destruction. And so Laura kind of helped her shape and turn all of that energy into a laser, which I think is really helpful for a lot of us. Instead of it just being this diffuse, anxiety, or it's like, well, maybe I want this. Maybe I want that. Yeah. Help you narrow it down and let go of the things, bitterness and resentment and just the icky ooze from life.
I think that step is actually the hardest step, which is figuring out what you want.
Oh, it is. You go to a restaurant, that's the hardest part. You look at the menu. Once you order it, you're not running your ass back in the kitchen. You trust that it's going to come. And in life,
I love this. Yeah, I'm not like, God, I hope they get my chicken parm right. I'm just like, it's going to be here. It's going to be right.
I did my part. It's going to be here. But if you don't order anything, nothing comes. And life, I think, is very much the same way. And we get caught up in the how. Well, how could that happen? How? Yeah. And that is what I have found my mindset coach helps me let go of. Letting go of the how. And getting into a trust of higher powers. And if you're a religious person, like you're already doing that. If you have a dog that you believe loves you, you're also already doing that. Like you're already demonstrating trust everywhere in your life. Like don't blow it at the 5-yard line when you could really bring some cool stuff in your life.
Yes. Well
Mhm.
said, Shallon. Okay. What are you manifesting right now? And
Um,
by the way, I will tell you, even me saying that, the word manifest has a
they're
little,
like,
I'm a little like woo woo, like what we have a witch's brew in the back and we're trying to do something. But
yeah,
I get what we're saying. For me, it's like intention. I think that's a word that I like feels better for me. But anyway, what are you manifesting? What's
yeah.
coming your way?
Magnetizing, I think that's a good word because it's like you sit and it comes to you. I am manifesting a new TV show that will hopefully be on next year. We filmed some of it already.
Oh,
I'm
congratulations.
you. Yeah, it's going to be a reality show. I think, yeah, I don't, we're
Good,
excited. I'm
good.
leaving a lot of like the question marks open for life to
Well,
fill
don't
in.
worry about the how. It'll all work out.
Exactly. Don't worry about the how. I'm manifesting a second home. I want to live in Europe part of the year. I would love to marry a man who gives me a title like Baroness, perhaps Duchess.
Oh, okay. Well, if he's got a brother, let me know. I'd love a title too.
I
Yeah.
will. I know. The thing with European royals, they don't have a lot of money. So
Oh, well,
they
I'll
have
take care of the money.
okay.
I'll manifest the money. You manifest the title,
Okay.
Baron. Yeah.
This is we've worked this out. See,
Yeah.
it's already happened. We
Yeah.
manifested it right now.
Yeah. Exactly. Where can people find you? I know YouTube, but where else do you like to show off?
They can find me, yes, on YouTube, Shallon Lester or Shallon XO. On Instagram, I give you deep dives into what we can learn from historical figures and like weird tidbits from history, lessons on femininity. And if you want to connect with me and like 1,000 other girls from around the world, my sort of internet clubhouse is called the Shallontourage. It's 5 videos a week, courses on how to online date. I have a new course coming out on, let's see what it's about, social climbing and how to make the right kind of friends and break into a new social level. We've got a hookup tutorial course. We got everything that you might need. Yeah, it's pretty darn good. It's a great little
And
place.
Shana was telling me before we started filming, she often travels with her
Mhm.
fans, her
Yeah,
viewers, and she just did 2 trips in Italy recently. So I think it's cool that you're connecting that way. People are wanting that type of connection,
it's
this, not to bring up the
number
C
one
word,
question
but
I get.
yeah,
What
yeah.
connection? I know we're
No,
on like the
COVID. After
oh,
COVID, everything became like, we gotta be in
yeah,
person.
yeah.
What
Mhm.
was I just about to ask you when we were wrapping up here? Shoot, it was something so good. I don't remember. Oh, you do the dating coach thing. I'm done dating, Shallon.
You're done.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. And I'm focused on a life of like, I'm not gonna compromise for anybody. No,
I
I'm
know.
not gonna let somebody move into my house and take over half my closet. It's just I'm done. I'm done. And it's kind of freeing to be like to say it.
You
Now,
have to. This is the middle path. We were talking about this. It's easy to be a hermit. It's easy to be a slut. We want to be in the middle path. We want to be, I can be the hermit, but I'm for the streets sometimes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
just
right,
leave
yeah.
ourselves open to things that might magnetize.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Mhm.
Shallon, I like how you're blunt and honest and straightforward. I love a little bit of controversy. I think it just
Oh, I
makes
got
for things to be a little more exciting. And
you.
please, anyone who's traveling internationally, you have my full attention. So thank you for being here, Shallon. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Anything else you want to leave with before we pop off here?
The secret to deciding you're a hot girl, the secret to deciding you're a champion, it's just deciding. That's
Just
it. That is
yeah,
the secret. You decide that you are a confident person. You decide you're a winner. And
yeah,
life pulls up and agrees with you.
yeah. Y'all, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Shallon, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you
Um,
so much.
I hope you guys can take away some stuff from this. One, you got to find your fern. If you just joined us, a fern is something that makes Shallon smile. We got to know what those things are. We don't want to be in a crisis. We don't want to be in the pits and be wondering, how do I get out of here? We should have that toolkit ready to go. So you got to find your fern. I love this idea of getting mindful with our thoughts. And we might have not have been mindful with our thoughts for decades. And we may be living in a victim mentality, a victim narrative for decades and not even realize it. Today, let's get in touch with ourselves again and start thinking, what are we thinking? What is my default? When I wake up, is it going to be a good day or a bad day? When that phone rings, do I go, this is going to be good news or bad news? You know, we get to decide. We get to decide that. There's a lot of good stuff here. I hope that you guys can take it and apply it. That application is everything. And if you're ready to take more on your plate and you're ready to take that next step, go to medcircle.com. There you can watch thousands of videos from mental health experts and people with lived experiences across the world. You can join a community of like-minded individuals. And we also have courses and live office hours and live workshops and fun community events. You can learn more and check it out at medcircle.com. I'm Kyle Kittleson. Remember, whatever you're going through, you got this.